Right now, you're not going to believe this. I'm kind of stunned that I have to tell you this. Republicans just voted, every single one of them, to allow Donald Trump to deport U.S. citizens. Not like deport unlawful, violent immigrants. No. They just voted in our committee to allow Donald Trump to deport U.S. citizens. That's where this is going. They just voted to allow them. I've never thought I would see this before. I never thought it would come to this, but that's where we are right now. And so just on the other side of these doors is the hearing that I'm in right now. I'm going to get back in a second because we're still voting on other matters, but it's not shocking because this is always where it was going to go, but that's a dictatorship. That's a dictatorship. It's a fucking dictatorship when you allow a president to deport your own constituents. And learn the names of every Republican on the House Judiciary Committee because they just did that. They just voted to allow Donald Trump to deport American citizens. I mean, it's one of the most shocking things I've seen. I think my Democratic colleagues were stunned that they would want to give him so much power. But that's where it's going. It's not going to be a completed dictatorship, though, and I want to tell you why. He has the ambitions of being a dictator. For it to be a completed dictatorship, he needs you to not show up to the town square. He needs the press to not independently cover him, and he needs the courts to not hold him accountable. He should have a check by Congress. That's gone. These guys are not doing it. It's gone. But right now, the press is independently covering him. Courts continue to hold him accountable, and you keep going to the town square. So that's the sand in the gears of a dictatorship, and we gotta amp it up. We have to amp it up. Again, I just want to tell you why I invited you in here. House Judiciary Committee right now in Congress, Republicans just voted to allow Donald Trump to deport American citizens. This is the same week that we learned that the president deported a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer. And this is where they're taking us. But we're not helpless. We're not helpless at all. You are awakened. You are going to the town squares. We have small victories that will bring us big victories. We're going to cut our time in hell in half by changing the majority in Congress and putting a check in place. Let me get back into this hearing, but I wanted to tell you as soon as I sat in that room and saw that vote, Republicans on the Judiciary Committee just voted for Donald Trump to deport American citizens.
The Trump administration deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen in what the judge said with no meaningful process. The judge who's asking for answers about how and why this happened. A U.S. citizen, 2 years old, deported to Honduras. Now you may see that and think, all right, the child's parents were both deported. So of course they sent the child with the parents and that's how this happened. No, the father is here. The 2-year-old's father is in America, lives in America, not being deported, trying to keep the child here, and the child was sent with the mother back to Honduras. Anyway, the father has been attempting to contact the girl's mother to discuss plans for their child, but ICE officials denied him the chance to have a substantive phone call. He says ICE allowed the two to speak for about 1 minute on Tuesday while the mother was in ICE custody, but that they were unable to make any meaningful decision about the child. And they're claiming that there's a letter written in Spanish that was by the mother expressing that she wanted the child to go with her, but no one's been able to confirm that. Like the judge is like, let me talk to the mother. Trump administration said, you can't. She's already gone. She's on a plane. Can't talk to her. And then when they got there, you can't talk to her now. She's off in Honduras somewhere. We don't know where she is. Her and this U.S. citizen that we put on a plane and sent out of the country. Oh, and just in case anyone out there is like, oh, it's these liberal judges, they just don't like Trump because of... Yeah, Doherty, that's the judge in this case. Sharp criticism of the Trump administration is particularly notable because he issued a series of major decisions in favor of Trump and his allies in recent years. He's a Trump guy. And even he has to be like, this is not right. But as if that wasn't bad enough, how about this? Immigrant children, even toddlers, often have to represent themselves in immigration court.
Are you a little nervous this morning? See? Do you understand what these proceedings here in court are all about? You know what a lawyer is?
The reason we're here is because the government of the United States wants you to leave the United States. The judge told a group of about a dozen children during a virtual hearing, it's my job to figure out if you have to leave. The judge says that the number of unaccompanied children in her court without a lawyer has gone from 30% to 60%. In the U.S. immigration court system, individuals, including unaccompanied migrant children, do not have a right to a government-appointed counsel. While they're entitled to hire an attorney at their own expense, there's no provision for free legal representation, even for minors. But guess what? The U.S. has an attorney there. There's an attorney representing the United States interest, but children have to do that alone. Just a reminder, if you go to the link in my bio, this petition is there. And you can sign this to hopefully get some members of Congress to wake the fuck up and do something about what's going on.
Okay, I think it's time we start talking about U.S. citizenship, because if you think being a U.S. citizen makes you safe from deportation under this Trump administration, I need you to listen closely, because right now, under Trump's second term, we're seeing something that we're never supposed to see in a constitutional democracy. American citizens are being deported. I'm talking about babies, cancer patients, legal residents, sent across borders, sometimes without hearings, without lawyers, and without their medicine, and without basic due process. That's not a mistake. That's not a glitch. That's a sign. 3 U.S. citizen children, one just 2 years old, another battling stage 4 cancer, were deported to Honduras with their mothers, and when the judge asked the government to verify if the mother really chose to take her children, it was too late. The plane had already taken off. Now, let that sink in. A U.S. citizen child with cancer was deported without her medication. And when Congress had a chance to put in protections to make sure that this never happens again, House Republicans voted it down. So I don't want to hear this isn't who we are, because apparently this is what we're becoming, okay? Unless we decide to stop it. And look, I get it. Trump says that he's only targeting criminals. But here's the truth. Once you break the law to exile citizens, once you ignore courts' orders to sideline immigration judges, you're not just fighting crime, you're fighting the Constitution. And even worse, Trump has already openly floated the idea of sending U.S. citizens, the so-called homegrown criminals, to foreign prisons. He even joked that mistakes are just part of life. That's not leadership. That is authoritarianism testing the waters. So here's what we have to understand, that the Constitution protects all citizens from unlawful exile. Due process isn't optional. It's a cornerstone of democracy. And when government starts picking and choosing who gets to stay based on politics, race, or convenience, nobody's safe. Our citizenship is truly safe. So we are witnessing the slow erosion of the rule of law, one executive order at a time. And if we don't fight back with knowledge, with votes, with lawsuits, with clarity, we're going to wake up in a country where your rights only exist until someone more powerful says they don't. So I'll leave you with this. Citizenship without rights is just paperwork, and democracy without accountability is just theater. Now is the time to choose fear or freedom. What side are you on?
Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do so before we continue. Can I give you a minute? 1, 2. Okay, let's go. I'm starting to think America is not a real place for real, because why is the president acting as though he doesn't care about you people? Is Trump really okay? Because tell me, where would you deport your own citizens? Where do you want them to go? For example, I'm here in Africa, in Kenya to be precise. So if my president tells me he's going to deport me, where else does he think I'll be going? Because I was born here. This is what I know as home. This is what I know as my people. This is all I know ever since I was born. So if you, for example, if I get deported to the United States, first of all, it's going to take me a minute to just get everything together, because system run differently, everything, family, you know, this is what, like, getting the things that you're used to into a foreign place is so difficult. Anyway, let's assume you'll just get by. It's going to take you a minute, especially if you do not have family or anyone or even papers. In short, what I'm trying to say, America is not a real place, and your president needs to be checked. Oh my God. Let's watch some videos for you to understand, like, this is a thing and Trump is not playing.
Donald Trump has now deported multiple U.S. citizen kids with cancer. If that sentence sounds unbelievable, it's because it should be unbelievable. It should not be something that is taking place here. But look at what we have going on. Reports confirmed by the ACLU of Louisiana show that 3 American citizen children were deported in the last week as part of Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. What does it even mean to call it a crackdown? Among them, a 4-year-old child with a rare metastatic cancer deported with no medication, no consultation with doctors, no plan to continue treatment. It doesn't stop there. One of the mothers deported is pregnant, expelled from the United States without any prenatal care arrangements. Another mother given less than a minute to call legal counsel before the call was abruptly cut off. A complete mockery of due process. There is no due process. On the one hand, they say law and order. On the other hand, there's no due process being given to people. The ACLU says that ICE was warned ahead of time about the child with cancer's medical condition. They knew, and they deported the child anyway. These were American citizen children, children who had every legal right to be in the United States and were ripped away from their communities and their doctors and their medical care, I guess because Trump wants to make a political point. What that point is, I don't even know at this point in time. This is not the first time, because last month, Donald Trump's ICE deported a 10-year-old American citizen with cancer out of Texas. 2 separate cases within weeks of each other of U.S. citizen children with cancer being thrown out of the country without medical care. If you want to talk about cruelty, this is cruelty. And this is what Trump meant, I guess, when he said we were finally going to have law and order again in this country. Punishing children with cancer to scare immigrants and doing it proudly and boasting Tom Homan and Kristi Noem and all of them. The judge overseeing one of these cases called it what it is. We mentioned it earlier. It's the deportation of an American citizen with no meaningful process, meaning no due process. Think about that. A sitting president violating the rights of his own citizens.
So now that the House of Representatives has effectively passed a bill that now will go to the Senate that will legally allow the administration to deport U.S. citizens, I have some follow-up points of negotiation that I would like to give to you. Number 1, do I get to pick the destination? If you give me a list of like 5 to 10 countries, I will elect my top 3 and you get back to me on what you can do with that. Number 2, you're going to cancel my student loans, right? Because I can't use my education obtained here in the next country. I will have to go back to school. So you should probably go ahead and cancel that, as well as credit me back all the money that I have busted my ass to pay to you to pay those student loans off. Number 3, can I volunteer as tribute? Do we have to commit a crime to be deported? Is there a list to sign up? I think that would be a great idea if you're trying to like offload some people. I think many would volunteer for this. Number 4, credit scores, debt. You're going to cancel that, right? Because if I'm no longer a citizen, I don't think I should have to adhere to credit scores or pay back any debt that I acquired as a citizen here. That should be like null and void. I think that's a great idea. Number 5, are you paying for my move? I think there should be like some incentive, reimbursement, relocation assistance. I think you should pay for it. as long as I didn't commit a crime to get deported, if I volunteered, I think it should be on your dime. Because I've been paying my taxes for years now, and I think that's the least that you can do is go ahead and pay for my move to the next country. You get back to me, look through my terms. If you need a PDF, I can send that to you. Happy to negotiate further.
Did you know that the ICE director, Tom Homan, just came out and said that he's okay with U.S. citizens getting deported? As a matter of fact, he says that it was his effort to keep the families together. This statement was released after 2 families were deported to Honduras. In those families, there were 3 U.S. citizens that were deported with them. One of them was a 2-year-old girl. One of them was a 4-year-old kid who had stage 4 cancer, and a 7-year-old. The U.S. government is saying that the mothers wanted the children to go with them. However, the families of the attorneys came out and said that the mothers wanted the children to stay here with the fathers, but they were never given that opportunity to consult with the fathers. They didn't even have a chance to talk to them. They were just given the option to take the kid with them. And they tried to do that, and they took the kid with them. Now the U.S. government is claiming that they're trying to keep the families together because during the first term of President Trump, everyone complained about how he was tearing up families. Now he just decided that it's better to send the U.S. citizen children with their mothers back to the motherland that they were trying to escape. What do you guys think? What do you think is the right thing to do in this situation?
They don't really care who they're trying to deport or ask to leave the United States.
When Massachusetts resident Nicole Micciarone received this email on Friday telling her to leave the country, she was baffled.
At first I thought it was for a client, but I looked really closely and the only name on the email was mine. It said that my parole status had been terminated and I should leave the country within 7 days.
But the 40-year-old is a U.S. citizen.
I think it's most likely a mistake, and they're just casting a really wide net. But it's a little concerning that these are going out to U.S. citizens.
Micciarone is an immigration attorney working with many clients facing possible deportation issues, so her name and email are on a lot of paperwork. In a statement, a senior Department of Homeland Security official told us Customs and Border Protection is issuing notices terminating parole for individuals who do not have lawful status to remain. If a non-personal email such as an American citizen contact was provided by the alien, notices may have been sent to unintended recipients.
I think it's really scary that this is going on. It says that they're not being very careful. I think it's a scare tactic. I think they want people afraid of immigration.
Republicans just voted to allow Trump to illegally detain and deport U.S. citizens. On Wednesday, the Judiciary Committee voted on an amendment that explicitly barred ICE from using federal funds to detain or deport American citizens. It was introduced by a Democrat, and all of the Republicans voted against the amendment and offered little to no explanation as to why. In fact, they remained largely silent during the debate.
Raise your hand if you do not think children with cancer who are American citizens should be deported. Looks like it's all the Democrats and none of the...
Democrats cited recent cases where U.S. citizens, including children, were detained and deported by immigration authorities, arguing that this amendment was necessary in light of these troubling incidents. Wow, I think it's absolutely crazy that Republicans can't even stand up for their own U.S. citizen constituents. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments. Share this video to spread the word. Not enough people are talking about this, and make sure you're following me on all platforms so I can continue to keep you guys updated on this.
We have some news right now. In the past 24 hours, we learned that the Trump administration has deported at least 4 children, all of whom are U.S. citizens. And I want to highlight 2 specific cases. The first is one of the children has metastatic cancer, was deported without their medication, without a treatment plan, without access to their doctors that have been in the United States of America. The second is this 2-year-old that was deported without sufficient due process, according to a federal judge in Louisiana. These aren't the only cases of U.S. citizens being deported. They're just 2 of them. And while according to allegations they were deported alongside their mother, who may not have been a United States citizen, that doesn't matter because the children themselves are U.S. citizens and have rights, have due process rights under the law. Now the mother too Whether or not you are a citizen or not, you have due process rights. But the children can remain in the United States if they want to, and if a parent or legal guardian is a citizen and petitions for them to do so. And while the Trump administration is playing fast and loose with immigration policy and immigration rules right now, I'm going to do a full breakdown of what this all means on my Substack, link to my bio. So subscribe for free, spread the word, and follow along for more.
This is, oh my god, I can't. Every single House Republican voted against an amendment that would have banned ICE from using federal funds to detain or deport U.S. citizens. It sounds crazy, but this really did happen. This wasn't about immigration loopholes or border security. This was about protecting American citizens from being wrongfully targeted by their own government. And they said no! They said no. ICE has already detained U.S. citizens by mistake. People have lost weeks, even months of their lives because of database errors and misidentifications. So this amendment would have added a basic safeguard, but instead lawmakers rejected it. Now, if your citizenship doesn't guarantee your freedom, then what does?
They're deporting children, kids. Do you really understand how insane this is? Deportation is not like you're being sent to the shops, then you'll be back. No. This is like you're being sent to a different continent to like go start over to... It's not fair for the kids. Honestly. Let me know your opinion in the comment sections. I'd love to hear what you have to say, okay? As much as the Trump administration is saying they don't want to break families, they are actually breaking families, because tell me, a 2-year-old, how are they going to fend for themselves? What does a 2-year-old know really? I'm heartbroken on behalf of these families, because the only home they knew has been taken away from them. Trump, what do you want?